Right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jenni Parks, and I'm so honored to be here with you today. This talk is called Decolonizing Health and Wellness. My hope is to offer a different lens on self care, one that is rooted in ancestral knowledge, community, and connection to the natural world. This isn't about throwing away everything modern or going back in time, but about remembering wisdom that colonization attempted to erase and weaving it into how we care for ourselves today. So, why should we decolonize our health and wellness? Modern wellness has been heavily shaped by colonial systems, and it often focuses on individualism, productivity, and consumerism, buying products, following trends, and achieving a certain image of health. But Indigenous traditions around the world have always taught us that wellness is relational. It is about honoring the spirit within all things and being connected to the land, ancestors, and community. To decolonize means reclaiming that wisdom and autonomy. It's about saying, my healing is not a commodity to profit from, it's sacred and my birthright. So I want to ask loosely, just to yourselves, think about how many of you have ever felt like mainstream wellness culture wasn't made for you, that there was something missing that required you to feel complete in terms of your wellness. And so to ask why should we decolonize, I have a few sentences here on the slide that I just want to read really quick. Why should we decolonize? To reconnect to ancestral knowledge of healing and wellness, to resist a commodified Western wellness and healing culture, to address intergenerational trauma caused by colonization, to reclaim autonomy over our bodies and healing journeys, to open our minds to traditional healing practices, to protect the environment that we require for wellness, and to honor the spirit within all living and natural things. So, reclaiming traditional practices, the original healers. We have the Andean herbal medicine doctors, the African slave surgeons, Native American shamans, Chinese medicine doctors, and Indian folk healers. Across cultures, there are rich traditions of healing that existed before, during, and after colonization of their homelands. First, it's important to recognize that modern Western medical practices often originated from indigenous and colonized peoples. For example, Andean herbal medicine is over 12,000 years old, and their knowledge of plant medicine was what gave us knowledge about penicillin and antibiotics. On a darker note, African slave surgeons were forced to perform and teach the surgery techniques that their culture had developed for centuries to their colonizer masters, who later claimed they were the inventors of such a life-saving skill. Chinese herbal medicine practices can be traced back to about 5,000 years, according to the archaeological record. Chinese medicine doctors are very resistant to Western medicine at first because they did not see it as medicine. This is because of their understanding of wellness, of based on the concepts of qi, yin yang, and the five elements. These are interpreted by the medical practitioners, Chinese traditional doctors, specifically through a wet-dry scale. So instead of looking at it through a traditional Western perspective, where we just ask symptoms and treat based on those symptoms, they go deeper. They look at the tongue, they look at other things going on with the body, the eyes, the ears, as well as a prolonged telling of your own medical experience. It's not just, I'm sick today, let's fix that. It's, let's focus on the full wellness. So the wet, dry perspective focuses on looking at perspectives of healing as sickness being caused by wet or dry things. So when we look at a wet illness, that might be something like leaky gut syndrome and things like that, that they have very traditional herbal medicine that has been able to cure that for thousands of years now. And these principles can't be determined through a traditional healing lens. It has to be through their traditional cultural lens. Western medicine unfortunately, did not respect this knowledge and even mocked it during early attempts of integration. This caused Chinese doctors to reject Western medicine for being mechanical, disconnected from mind, body, spirit frameworks, and it was even seen as an imperial threat to traditional Chinese culture. This shows us that there is an importance of integrating medicine. This shows us the importance of integrative medicine, which makes space for all types of healing and wellness to work together. And it shows understanding that cultural wealth that came before modern Western medicine, which is only about 200 years old, starting at the beginning of the 19th century with the development of germ theory. Western medicine technically goes back all the way to ancient Greeks, but that is still far from what we consider a modern Western medical approach. It was only after the 20th century, during the Republic era, that Western medicine gained roots in urban and elite circles in China. But rural areas still stuck with their traditional Chinese medicines and maintained that knowledge throughout time. Now we live in an era where medical styles can work together in integrative medicine to fit the holistic wellness needs of each individual. For instance, in Arizona, tribal leaders in healthcare have been working for years to get insurance coverage for traditional healing practices from medicine men. This would also give medicine men a position of authority and allow them to make a living from being a traditional healer. Integration is the future of medicine. I want to wrap up this slide with Indian folk healing systems, which are the oldest recorded healing systems that we know of. It focuses on holistic healing for the mind, body, spirit, and has been preserved through oral traditions. During British colonization in India, after the year 1757 specifically, many of these indigenous systems of healing were minimized and almost wiped out in favor of Western medicine because it was deemed more scientific, while Ayurveda and other Indian healing systems were deemed unscientific. Granted, Western medicine at this time was extremely underdeveloped, and it was common to Granted, Western medicine at this time was extremely underdeveloped, and it was common to use now known poisons for healing, like mercury, while those who practiced Ayurveda have thousands of years of plant medicine knowledge that is still used today and is still effective today. Sadly, Indian folk healers were criminalized and marginalized during colonization. Western medicine was pushed by missionaries as the civilized option to healing, which then pushed these holistic Indian folk healers into the rural areas where Western doctors wouldn't go. And this is what preserved these traditional ways. Today, we get to enjoy their ways of healing as yoga, homeopathy, Ayurveda, Unani, and Siddha, but it is also important to understand their origins and challenges. Decolonized healing is seen as radical, although it should be seen as a natural part of humanity and healing. We are simply returning to the ways that we've always known to work for holistic wellness. We need more than what Western medicine and ideas of healing can offer. So, how do we decolonize self-care? Well, this is the Akimel Odam, symbol of the man in the maze. It represents life's journey with its twists, turns, challenges, triumphs, and growth. It reminds us that self-care isn't about escaping difficulty, but about finding meaning in it and returning to our center. Each time we meet a challenge or a dead end in a maze, we grow wiser, more resilient, and more connected to mind, body, spirit. In decolonized wellness, self-care isn't just a bubble bath or the next best health product. It's deeply reflective, transformative, and sacred. Decolonized self-care is asking, how do I return to my authentic self in a world that tries to pull me away from who I am and what I hold sacred? The next slide coming up is where we will answer this question. So how do we return to center? How do we move forward into a decolonized wellness and health system? I had the pleasure of learning this profound Indigenous method of wellness during a workshop I attended last year about tribal health literacy. According to Chelsea Luger's model of the 7 circles for living well, all the circles are interconnected and reliant on each other for total wellness. You cannot have one out of balance, or else you will be out of balance. It is important to fulfill these circles in your daily lives to achieve total wellness for the mind, body, and spirit. For instance, food cannot exist without movement because to eat, you must move first, either in cooking or to get ingredients. Getting adequate sleep allows us to be fully present in sacred spaces and with community. Sacred spaces encourage us to care for them. This is why many sacred spaces are connected directly to the land. It also connects to ceremony, which is experienced with community. There are many ways these circles of wellness will and do overlap in our daily lives. Because everything is connected, we also need to decolonize our idea of each of these circles. Food will be the most nourishing and beneficial to the self and other circles when it is local, whole, and seasonal nutritious foods, ideally from plants native to the land you live with. I say with, not on, because the land is a sacred living entity that we do not own, but we do inherit it and the responsibility to care for it. This is why land is also an essential circle, because our wellness is dependent on the wellness of the earth and what it offers us. This also ties into sacred spaces. Outside or inside, we should be holding space as sacred to foster a calm and clear well-being daily. Your room where you sleep can be a sacred space, where you inhabit ceremony or ritual into daily wellness in the way that works best for you. Maybe it looks like making your bed each morning, saying a prayer, doing yoga, having tea or coffee alone for a few minutes, or even spending those few extra minutes laying in bed a little longer to connect with yourself. And movement, I think, is misunderstood the most of all. It is intended to be a celebration to honor the body, not rigorous exercise. The goal is to celebrate movement. This can be with dance, gardening, cooking, knitting, singing, or anything that requires you to move with intention and creativity. When we honor the 7 circles, we are honoring ourselves, the people around us, and the land we all rely on for comfort. If you wish to learn more about this philosophy, I recommend buying Chelsea Luger's book. The title is As It Is Seen on the title of this slide. So what does decolonizing health and wellness look like in everyday life? It is rejecting a one-size-fits-all wellness brand and trends. It's reclaiming small daily rituals, making tea, walking barefoot on the earth, cooking ancestral foods, connecting with yourself, the land, and your community. It's listening to your body's rhythms instead of the clocks. It's resting when you need it, playing without guilt, connecting with people who nourish your mind, body, and soul. And remember, healing yourself heals those around you. Your self-care is your self-maintenance, but it is also maintenance for the land, community, and all things sacred. You are sacred because you are one with the land, the sky, and the sea. You are sacred because your ancestors created you and shaped the land that holds you. As we close the presentation today, I want to leave you with this thought. Decolonizing health and wellness isn't about looking back. It's about creating new ways forward, rooted in ancient wisdom designed for sustainable futures. Native Americans teach one very important and imperative philosophy that everyone should follow, that everything until now is the result of the prior 7 generations, and it is your responsibility to maintain the land and the people for the next 7. Everything you do in this life will be for the next 7 generations of humanity. Your healing is radical. Your self-care is ancestral. And every small act of tending to your body, mind, and spirit is a ripple of change towards a decolonized world. So I want to leave you today with one final question. What do you hold sacred? And how can you maintain it for the next 7 generations? Carry this with you daily and watch the world change. Self-care is community care, and community care is self-care. Thank you for letting me share this sacred space with you today. I hope you leave remembering that you are enough and your wellness belongs to you because your ancestors said so. Your healing is your birthright, and it is the journey to the center of yourself. Please feel free to contact me directly with any questions or if you are interested in book recommendations that help move us toward decolonizing health and wellness. Thank you.